Work's been a little slow at my full-time job, so I got the week off. So what I'm going to be working on, I'm going to be pulling the 5-speed out of the Supercoupe, and see if we can show up there. There's the Cougar, which it'll be going in. But I'm trying something different because my channel is not very big. It's hard for me to communicate with a lot of you guys. So I started a YouTube, Facebook page. It's Bkcamaro, one word. So should be able to find it. And I might have polls and stuff on there, and kind of communicate with people that way. I think a lot of that, and maybe expand my channel a little bit. But so this is going to be kind of a couple of videos are going to be coming out. Are going to be about the T-Bird here and the Cougar. Some of my previous videos I discussed it a little bit. I'm going to be switching the front end from the T-Bird here to the Cougar, because the Cougar's front end's kind of, the bumper cover's all busted up and the grill's busted up. And this T-Bird, I think this is an aftermarket hood. I had a 89 and it never had this hood, and it's really light. It's fiberglass, not steel, so that's pretty nice. But I got some pictures of the inside of the car a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to use those switch panels on the Cougar, because the columns also, the ignition setup on the column is busted up. Well, let's go take a gander at her. Nice humid day out today. Not very warm, just the gosh darn humidities. Oh, and the ball joint failed on my S10. But you see here how the ignition setup is on this car. And I got a title, so it's not stolen. You can kind of see the grill's a little busted up. So, also got to check fuel pressure. The car did run, and I parked it up by my grandpa's shed, and then it quit running. So, like I said, I'm going to swap the front end over. So I got to do a little bit of looking to see if the bezel's the same or not, because that'd save a lot of work if I just have to change the headlights themselves, and then the bumper cover, and then the hood. And this hood's a lot heavier because this is actually steel. Alright, got some progress here on the T-Bird. Just pulled the front bumper off. Looks like this is actually attached to the bumper cover. So, alright. All in all, it actually all came apart pretty good. This is the only stud I snapped, and then the head of that Phillips, I stripped them out. But other than that, everything else came apart really good. And typical Ford fashion, they like to use all sorts of different size fasteners. Like the little one at the top of the bumper here behind the corner marker light is a, see if we can find one here, right here. That is a 5.5 millimeter. Then the ones like this, they are 8 millimeters. The ones inside the fender here, those are 11 millimeter. Except for on this side, the one that snapped off ended up being where is it here? A 10 millimeter. So I think that tells me the front bumper of this car has been off before. But so I got the body parts I want off this car. I wanted the front bumper and that hood to put on the Cougar. So now we can start working on the transmission removal. Eventually, I would like to pull the drivetrain out completely. I mean, I want the transmission now, but I want to keep the motor. And I want to keep the suspension components. I mean, the ball joints and everything actually on this car look pretty good and solid. Which is actually kind of shocking. Maybe not. Boots were ripped on that one. I don't know. I don't want to get rid of too much because that's usually the parts you're going to need. I see this one broke the same brake line that's broke on the Cougar. Someone spliced it together. That is not legal, by the way. Well, hang on. Is that just a... I think that is. I think that's just one of those... I can't think of the compression fittings. Say if it's flared, if you flare them and then get like a little piece, two female on both ends, and then thread it together, that's legal. But if that's a compression fitting, that is illegal to have on your brakes. Just a heads up. Another part I'm probably going to keep is all of this. This is all discontinued. You cannot get any of this, and used parts are ungodly expensive. My last Thunderbird Supercoupe, that accumulator ball took a crap, and I forgot what I paid for it, like 250 bucks or something, because it's hard to, and with this setup here, these were only optioned on the Supercoupes and the XR7s with the supercharged 3/8. At least I've never seen them on the naturally aspirated V6s, and I think some of it's because of all this in a way. You might not get a regular vacuum booster in here. But I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know if it's on this one or the Riata, because the Riata has something similar. It's got like instead of having a vacuum booster, it's got all this electronic stuff. One of them, I thought it was the Ford setup. Ferrari bought the patents from Ford or Porsche or something. Some high-end sports car company bought either this setup or the one off the Riata, GM's version. But I read that online, and you know, the internet never lies. But, yep, that's... Hopefully in the next clip I'll have the transmission out. Oh, here's the drain plug from the transmission from the Ford. It doesn't look all that great. Yeah, there is a lot of crap on this thing. Wow. Trying to make sure that is a lot of garbage on that plug. Oh well, we'll run her. There, I shaved off like quite a bit off that sucker, and she had a lot of metal shavings on her. Sitting here, got the exhaust dropped. It's got a aftermarket muffler. The resonator has been removed. There is no Cadillac converters on this car, and by the looks of this, there's shorty headers on her. I'm like, wow, look at that. That is cool. I googled some images of some of the manifolds that are supposed to be on this car, and they don't look like that. Though it looks like it's been modified with a section of pipe in between. I didn't really look at the other one yet, that close. But that is pretty cool. I mean, some aftermarket exhaust manifolds, that's pretty sweet. Here's the transmission. Totally forgot on these cars. Oh, come on. Hang on, I gotta get a flashlight. Alright, got my flashlight here. Alright, one thing I forgot about these cars is there's the drive shaft. There's the fuel tank. It actually runs above the fuel tank. Totally forgot about that. But also, fluid in this transmission is not the Mercury 5, I think, is you're supposed to run in these. It was gear lube, by the smell of it. Got a nice Ford sticker for you. So, speedometer sensor. Is that wire still there? No. This car doesn't have a working speedometer. Like it mattered. I mean, this car wasn't going to go down the road. The reason I'm not even attempting to fix up this T-bird is right there. That is a hole. That's a pretty big hole. Right there. This driver's side floor pan is gone. And the reason that is at one point, I think the window motor took a crap. And it is cracked open just a little bit. And all it took was that little bit of water getting in there and rotted her out. I still have to find a 5-speed center console for one of these cars. That's the seat. Kind of sucks that the side here is all chewed up. That and the shifter is pretty. I mean, let's put it in gear. That's in gear. Not horrible, but not good either. Then with the Cougar, both these cars, the ignition switch is junk on them, so I can't even rob the one off this car. And they use this. I think this was the starter. And so I don't know if I should keep that, find a way to tear some of it off. Well, I guess it wouldn't even be that hard to tear it apart. It's pretty simple. Just continue using that, and maybe just take these rocker switches and mount them somewhere in there. That'd be kind of cool. A little bit of race car-ness. I don't know what else inside this car I really need. I mean, what's bad on the other car is bad on this car. So, no rear seats or nothing. I'll probably keep this. Oh, this has got the automatic climate control. Electronic climate control. Oh boy. That probably won't do me any good. The other one's not. But I was looking for that. Yeah, I mean, that'd be kind of cool if this thing's got headers. Well, we got the fuel tank out. Why? Because the drive shaft, because the fuel tank goes underneath the drive shaft. You gotta see where the drive shaft goes through the fuel tank. Since I don't care about this car, there was no real nice way of removing stuff. Kind of just started hacking stuff because it's like, screw it. Cut the lines here and cut it there, cut it there. Even snipped the wires because the stupid plug wouldn't come apart. So I'm like, whatever, don't care. This car is scrap anyways. So now we can get at the drive shaft. I was initially going to use a I guess there's two ways to remove the drive shaft on this car. The proper way is to remove the fuel tank like I did. The other way is to unbolt the diff, drop the diff, and slide it out the back. I still want to remove the diff, I just don't want to drop it. Like if you were dropping it, you don't have to worry about removing the CV axles, but since I want that center section, I actually have to do that. But that I kind of want to wait until the car is on a trailer because I want to keep the front spindles too. So doing all that, then I can just leave the stuff apart and go straight to a junkyard then with the car. So now we can remove the drive shaft. And it should be the cross member, bell housing bolts, and the transmission itself should be ready to come out. So we're getting there. Yay, the transmission is out. I don't know if I got any good shots of this. I see someone got a little crazy with the snips, and it wasn't me. So, but to actually remove the harness, Hopefully, I should be able to open the door yet. To actually remove the harness, it's super easy. It simply just plugs in right there and it goes through a grommet, and that is the harness that you need for the transmission. And then I guess because the Cougar's an XR7, it's going to have from the factory tucked up inside the wiring the plug for the safety switch and the clutch pedal. So that is super convenient. Yay, we got the flywheel out. I guess there's two different crank options for those earlier year ones. There's neutrally balanced, and then there's one with a weight on it. Mine is neutral. Then these bolts are a 19 millimeter. The ones that were holding my pressure plate onto the flywheel, these were 9/16. They're standard. Let's see if I can get zoomed in on this. Yeah, they're standard bolts. The Bellhausen bolts are 13 millimeter. Unless, like in my case, I don't know where that bolt went, but one of the Bellhausen bolts on the top were a aftermarket one, so they must have snapped the bolt or stripped it off or whatever. And that actually requires a 17 millimeter. So, yeah, that's the pressure plate. Doesn't look too bad. We'll scoot out from underneath the car here. Here's the little dust shield. Here's the clutch. Not exactly the greatest life left on it, but, and there's the flywheel, a couple hot spots. But I'm gonna have to reuse it because no one in this area can get one in a reasonable time for a reasonable price. The cheapest one I found is over $300 for just the clutch and pressure plate, and it takes like a week and a half to get it. And a couple of the other places can't even order parts for this car, at least for the clutch setup. So that's no fun. But, also the master cylinder that's in here, it goes in at an angle and you click it, it actually turns sideways to lock into place. So getting it out, you will turn towards the engine, pops out. So yeah, a little bit of getting a little further on this project.